Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of Cashed It with Chris, the NBA betting show, presented to you guys by the Basketball Forever Podcast Network. Today is November the 4th, 2022, and we have a lot of basketball to talk about. We had a two-game slate yesterday, so we'll talk a little bit about a recap of that. And then we also got a lot of games today. I don't even know how many it is. I feel like it's almost every team playing today. A lot of games to cap, man. So no further ado, let's get into it. And as we always do, start the show with a quick recap of what happened yesterday and what we bet and how well we did. 1-0 officially. I talked about the Golden State Warriors on the morning show yesterday, even though I didn't give them out officially on the morning show. I talked about liking Golden State early in that game, minus the 5 in the first half, and that cashed. They came out a little the defense just don't look good. Let's put it like that. That defense looks really, really bad. When you're giving up 130 points to Orlando, you really got to figure some stuff out, which kind of segues us into today's games. But then we also saw Denver come out and blast OKC in that spot early in that game. And OKC was able to kind of get it together and fight back. It was a 15.5-point spread at halftime because they were losing the game 71-57. They fought back. Denver shot the ball so well in the first quarter. They like legit couldn't miss a 3-pointer. So I talked about Jokic's rebounds plus assists. That was also a cash. I didn't even play that, but I talked about that being one of the strongest player props of the night, and that cashed as well. um, and yeah, that was it. OKC couldn't make a shot in the fourth quarter. I think they scored something like 15 points after having a big third quarter. I think they scored 38 in the third, but couldn't score in the fourth. So yeah, they end up losing the game. Denver covered the spread last night in that one, but I didn't have anything official. So 1-0 yesterday, plus 0.91 units on the play. Shout out to you guys who cashed with me yesterday on that one. But let's get into today's slate because we got a lot of games to get to, and I don't want to spend too much time doing a recap. So, what y'all on? Jason said I took the Mavs first half minus 4.5. Good play. They had no business covering, but thank God they did. Yeah, they got hot in the second quarter. Steph and Clay started hitting threes. Morning, everyone. Warriors had mad problems right now. It's a fact they do. Top of the morning, LJ, to you as well, my brother. Cash it Fridays. Let's get to it, man. We always trying to cash. Always trying to cash. Man, Stoney said he went 4-0 in the NFL yesterday. Tunde, appreciate you being here, my brother. Rise and cash. Let's get to it. All right, so I got a few games I'm gonna try to get to this morning before the show ends. And it's a lot, man. It's a lot on the board. It's easy to get overwhelmed in spots like this. Let's start out in the East Coast like I typically do. Let's go to this Cavs and Pistons game. It's gonna be a difficult game to cap, but I do got some notes that I want to share in this one. So the Cavs, right? They win in overtime. They beat Boston, covering as another dog in that spot. They've covered as a dog twice against Boston, and they come into this one 6-1 straight up and ATS. The only game that they didn't cover and didn't win outright was the first game of the season when Darius Garland got poked in the eye up in Toronto, and they lost that game. I think it was 108-105. They won 6 games in a row, and they've covered every one of them since that game in Toronto. This will be their first game of at least a 4-game road trip. They travel out west. They play the Lakers, they play the Clippers coming up, and Sacramento all on the West Coast coming up. Detroit comes into this game off a 2-game losing streak and 2 road games. They looked pretty good the first game in Milwaukee, and they didn't look as good in the second one when they actually got smacked up. So Detroit's actually in a rested spot, even though they've been playing well without the rest. Injury wise, Jalen Durham is probable. He didn't play in the last 2 games in Milwaukee. But the reason why, so this spread actually opened at 7, as you guys can see, is actually down to 6.5 at some places right now. Some 7s out there still as well. The reason why is because we got the news about Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. They're both listed as questionable. Donovan Mitchell with an ankle injury, and Darius Garland questionable with a knee injury. So if they end up sitting, we got to look at a guy like Karis LeVert props because he's so much like both of those guys dominate the ball so much as far as getting other people, shot attempts and just distributing the ball. You have to look at somebody like Karis LeVert props. I don't know what they'd be sitting at, but that's just something to kind of monitor. It doesn't just because they're questionable as of last night doesn't mean that they won't play today. We should get more news around shoot around today, see if these guys actually participate in shoot around. If they do, it's probably a good sign that they're going to play or at least try to play. And if they don't, might be some indication that they won't play. So, So Detroit has covered 3 of the last 5 spreads against Cleveland. It's a sleepy spot for Cleveland. They were catching 6 points, 5 points, and 7.5 points, and they actually won the last 4 games outright at home in this matchup. So Cleveland might have something to prove in this spot, although these guys are listed on the injury report. Cleveland also ranks, they're the 6th ranked offense, 6th best offense. They're 16th in rebounding. Detroit, they're 27th in defense, 27th in rebounding. So if these guys, the other thing I wanted to mention as far as statistics go, Detroit ranks 25th. They're only scoring 109 points, and Cleveland defense is 5th. They're only giving up 106.7 points. So one thing I was thinking of looking at, and of course I won't do this unless we get the injury news, but I think Cleveland could come out here and smash Detroit if they're motivated in this spot. Coming off a big win against Boston, maybe they don't turn up for a game like this. But I like Cleveland probably early in this one. Detroit does not do well in the first quarter. I think Cleveland will probably want to, assert their dominance in this one. And as long as they, it's not too much of a sleepy spot for Cleveland, I look for them to, come out here and clean them up in the first quarter. I don't know if they cover the full game, but I do think that Cleveland, if they got all their guys, I would look for them. I would look at fading Detroit and taking them to cover specifically in the first quarter, first half. So it's not a motivational spot, but and Detroit is coming off two L's, but Cleveland is the much better team in this one. So that's why I'd be looking in that one. You guys got comments on that before we move on to the next one? Finesse, my guy. What's up, bro? I got Finesse in the building. Boogie said he too high. Okay. Reset SGA ladder was good too. Oh yeah, I forgot about SGA. Yeah, his point. I talked about his point props in the 27.5. It was a -130, and he got 27 in the third quarter. So yeah, that's a fact. Let's see, 12 games. I'm picking my top 6 and smashing my leans. Okay, man, Stoney. Tunde said Jared Allen rebounds worth a look tonight. Cavs giving up the 3rd most rebounds to teams. And the Pistons giving up the 4th most rebounds to teams. Okay. DJ, what's up, my brother? Appreciate you being here. Nah, appreciate me. I appreciate you appreciating me, DJ. Give me all the juice on the Cavs money line. Okay. I'm definitely going on Zion rebounds tonight. Okay, I can see that. We're gonna talk about that game. Matter of fact, let's keep going. Let's keep going, man. Hit the like button for me if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on Twitter and you want to come over YouTube and leave your comments, you can do that as well. The link is in the bio, and I just tweeted it out every single morning. All these shows are recorded for replay as well over on Twitter. Next game, let's go to the Bulls and the Celtics. So Bulls and the Celtics. Let's see. Chicago is going to Boston. I think this is a really good spot for Boston, right? So the Bulls, they're coming off 2 straight wins. I got the second one wrong. Not to say that I didn't think, I guess you wouldn't say I got it wrong, but I did pick Charlotte to cover. What was that? Last night was Thursday. So on Wednesday night, I did pick Charlotte to cover plus the 6 in that game. And the Bulls, they're a really difficult team to cap. They have went on a 2-game losing streak, and then a 2-game winning streak, and then a 2-game losing streak, and now a 2-game winning streak. They beat up the Nets the other day, so they're coming off these 2 straight wins. This time again, this is not a good spot for them though. It's a 3rd game in 4 nights, and the travel just continues to get worse. Right? It's a road travel. So they beat Brooklyn in Brooklyn 3 nights ago, and then 2 nights ago they beat Charlotte at home. And then they go back on the road after having only 1 day's rest. So 3rd game in 4 nights, and they play at Boston. I think you get a hungry, motivated Boston team in this spot, coming off yet another overtime loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the Celtics, they're coming off 1 day's rest, and like I said, the loss to the Cavs as well. I didn't see anything really pop up on the injury report for this one. we know that a guy like Zach LaVine is not guaranteed to play in a spot like this. If LaVine sit, Billy Donovan chose to sit him, it wouldn't surprise me at all because, like I said, this is a third game in 4 nights, and originally LaVine wasn't supposed to play in the back-to-back against Charlotte the other day, although he did. So something else to kind of take into your handicap is how what they end up doing with LaVine. But I didn't see anything about LaVine sitting in this one, but it really wouldn't surprise me if he did. It's a long season. Cody White is listed as doubtful, and Drummond has already been ruled out in this one. Boston should have everybody. Of course, mine is Robert Williams, who hasn't played yet this year, but they should have everybody. Let me tell you guys what I'm looking in this one. First of all, I'm looking at Jaylen Brown props. I think as long as they keep his point prop under 25.5, I'm probably going to be looking at that, especially in motivated spots. Tatum came out and said, we understand that every game isn't of great significance early in the season. When you make it to the finals, you understand that, losing games in November is not that big of a deal, but you also just don't want to lose too many in a row. Now, you guys see that if you're watching on Twitter or on YouTube, you guys can see the spread in this one opened at 6.5, and it's already been pushed up to 7. 7, 8, 9 almost indicate like a blowout because then you need the team to win by 3 possessions. This Bulls team is really, really difficult to figure out. I don't like the travel spot for them, but I think the better spot in this one is probably the Celtics early, right? We know that the Celtics are the number 1 scoring team in the first quarter in the NBA, and I want to say that's still true. I know that they were the top scoring team in the NBA in the first quarter. And matter of fact, I'm gonna look that up real quick while I'm talking to you guys because I got everything up already. So actually, let's see. Boston is number 2. After Denver scored 45 points or 44 points or whatever they scored yesterday, it did bump them up just a tad bit. Denver is first, but Boston is actually second in scoring in the first quarter. They're averaging 32 points per game. And one of the things I looked at when I was handicapping this game last night, early this morning, is Boston off a loss, right? So Boston, when they're off a loss so far this season, they're winning the first quarter by average of 10 points. They're winning 30-20. It's happened twice already. And I'm not saying that's the greatest sample size ever, but I think there is something behind Boston losing and then wanting to come out and punch first. Chicago also, I think looking at them, they don't do well in the first quarter when they're at the rest disadvantage spot. They're actually losing the first quarter. They've lost both first quarters in a rest disadvantage spot so far this season. And they're losing the first quarter by average margin of 4. It's a small sample size, of course, but now that we're starting to get this data and get these trends, we know that, Joe Mazzulla going to get those guys out. He wants to run, right? He wants to push the pace for Boston. And I think that that's what they do. They don't let this Chicago Bulls team get set. As long as they can rebound the ball and get out in transition, turn the defense up. I like the spot for Boston. I like them early. I haven't played it yet, but I'm going to be looking to take Boston first quarter, first half, probably in this spot. Like I said, a motivational spot. Also motivational, not just from losing last game and being back at the crib, but also motivational spot because they just lost to this Bulls team. I don't think they want to lose 2 times to the Bulls. I know it's still early in the season, but you don't want to lose 2 times to the Bulls, bro. Like, especially when they don't even got a real identity. So the other thing, real quick, is when you look at Chicago's one of the worst first quarter teams in the NBA. They're averaging just 28 points per game, which ranks 18th. And they are shooting 47% of they're shooting 47%, which actually ranks 12th, but they're only 5-4 in the first quarter. They're only 5-4 in the first quarter overall this season. Like I said, I think Boston comes out early. Maybe you even look at Boston team totals over for the first quarter, for the first half, because it's a spot that you probably want to back them in. And let's see what else. What y'all got in the comment section while we transition to the next game. So let's see what's that. So this is going to be all right. So we go on to the Warriors and the Pelicans game next. But before I do that, let me see what y'all got in the chat. Man, I needed that Joker one more rebound last night. Lakers first quarter under 27.5. B. Garrett said he on that. What up, Anthony? Appreciate you being here. Yeah, that Laker game gonna be interesting. I got a Lakers laying 2 against a strong Utah team, man. Utah is balling right now, and I maybe we'll have time to talk about that game. But yeah, the Lakers, off 2 straight wins. Really good win against the Pelicans, even though I feel like the Pelicans played down. Bron, man, if he plays like he did the other night, I might be looking at taking his unders. Bron, not because he's not a great player and a great talent, but because he wasn't feeling well. He talked about it in the post game. I don't know if you guys watched the post game interviews, but he talked about having like a virus, and you could kind of tell he wasn't his normal self. Bron point prop was sitting at 28.5 points against the Pelicans. Bron finished with 20 points. 20 points against the Pelicans. So, I mean, that went way under. And, he's listed as probable for this game. And he talked about how he just been in the bed since Sunday, like not feeling well at all. But we didn't get reports of it at all. And then he talked about going and getting right back in the bed. So, Bron got access to a lot of, probably great potions to, make himself feel better. But man, this Utah team is looking good right now. I don't think I don't want to. I'm not fading Utah. That's what I'm not doing. I'm also not playing the Lakers either. So it's going to be an interesting game for sure. And it's a spot where I low key want to back the Jazz getting points because they've done well in that spot. But yeah, I kind of went over that. I'm kind of going over that game right now. But let's move on. Let's go to the Pelicans and the Warriors, though. I do want to talk about this game. Bitsy said Celtics over 28.5 first quarter. That'd probably be where I'm looking at. I know that Chicago plays at one of the slower paces in the league. Just kind of going back to that game real quick. I know Chicago plays at one of the slower paces in the league. Let's see. For as far as pace, Chicago is actually not that slow. Okay. They're actually 12th. When you look specifically, though, at the first quarter, let's see. Chicago in the first quarter so far this season, they are playing at they are playing at the slowest pace to start the game. Dallas, Philly, and Chicago. So they're actually third slowest pace in the league. The Bulls are, but I still feel like Boston gets out and they run. On the opposite side, Boston plays at the 8th fastest pace in the first quarter. So, yeah. George says Celtics first half handicap is a lock. Oh, we don't use that L word. Ain't nothing a lock, George. But best of luck to you, my brother, if you do tell it. LJ said Vucevic rebounds versus Boston average 16. Average 16 last 3 games, 18 points, 23 rebounds versus Boston on 10-24. LJ, I was actually looking at that as well. I was looking at Vuce rebounds as well in that spot. Only reason I lean towards not taking it is because he's so hot and cold. Like his splits are atrocious this year. And then also, I just don't like the 3rd and 4th spot for him. Not to say he can't get it, but I don't like the 3rd and 4th spot for him. I would lean towards Vooch, though, to go over his rebounds for sure. He's a big guy. Should be some misses tonight. Ish said AL rebounds might be the move. I don't know. I have to look at that one a little bit more. But let's get on. Let's go to this. Let's go to the game I was just telling you guys about. And I kind of talked about this one yesterday in the spaces on the NBA Crispy Captain show and on YouTube yesterday. The Warriors and the Pelicans. So the line opened at 4 last night in favor of the New Orleans Pelicans. Total opened at 231.5, and I think it's still at 231.5. I don't think a lot of money has come in on this game at all yet. But you start to see the line move already. It's at 4.5 already in favor of the Pelicans, and it's being pushed to 5. I see 2 5s already on Bet Online, and the consensus is 5 right now. So what you get is just the worst spot in the world for the Golden State Warriors. This will be a back-to-back, a 3rd and 4, a 5th and a 5th, a 3rd and 4, a 4 and 6, and a 5th and 7 nights. This is the worst spot you can actually back a team in. And on the opposite side, and Golden State will probably be fired up as they should have been last night. Although if they can't cover against the Orlando Magic, they in real big trouble. Because on the opposite side, you get Brandon Ingram coming back. You get Herb Jones, who's listed as probable. And we know what the Pelicans can do even without those guys. I also feel like the Pelicans coming off that 3-game road trip where they beat the Clippers on Sunday, but then lost to the Lakers on Tuesday, they're going to be fired up to get back to the Smoothie King Center. And I talked about this yesterday. So I actually played this one last night when it was -4. 1 unit play for me, my favorite play of the day by far, Golden State, to lose this game by at least 4 or 5 points against the Pelicans today. Also, I think it's worth noting, and it hasn't been said yet, but Steve Kerr might end up resting the guys. I talked about it yesterday. Steve Kerr could absolutely come in here and rest the guys. Guys like Draymond, guys like Clay, even Steph, give him a night off. I know that the Warriors want to win, but I don't know, man. You done lost these games so far on this road trip to the Charlotte Hornets, the Detroit Pistons, the Miami Heat, the Orlando Magic, and now you got to face the New Orleans Pelicans. It just don't sound like a really good spot at all for the Warriors in this spot. So I'm probably not probably. I already placed the ticket. Give me the Pelicanos to win this game by 4. If you like it, I'll probably jump on that one early because the news could break at any, probably later on in the day that Steve Kerr probably gonna rest the guys. This is the last game it's the 5th game and last game of a 5-game road trip for the Golden State Warriors in this one as well. So that's what I got for you guys on that one, man. What y'all on in the chat before we get up out of here? Finesse said Pelly spot. Yeah, it's a Pel spot for sure. It's a Pel spot. Pel's early. I can see that too, Finesse. Get them out the way early. Aaron said the Warriors screwed me hard. How do you lose to the Magic? They not playing defense, man. Yep. Finesse said guys might rest too. Yep. I just said that. DJ said he on Zion first basket. Okay. If you like the Pelicans, I feel taking them early is the way. Yeah, I could see that too. You could play first quarter, first half. I really, really think that Kerr going to end up resting the guys, and I could be wrong. Shout out to Anthony Slater, the beat writer that covers the Golden State Warriors. I follow him on Twitter, and I would recommend you guys too as well, especially if you're thinking about putting a play in either with the Warriors or against the Warriors. If you watch the post-game interview yesterday with Steve Kerr, he talked about how they'll have to utilize a lot more of their bench. Everybody has an option. Everybody on this team will probably play. So what that means to me is that because a lot of those guys are playing already. We know that we've seen Moody come off the bench. We've seen Ty Jerome. Of course, Jordan Poole is a big part off the bench. We've seen Wiseman come off the bench. So, the person I'm thinking about is Kuminga, at least until they get Dante DiVincenzo back. So Kerr sounds like, he said he was going to have a meeting with the coaching staff and they was going to figure out, what they want to do with as far as the bench role. But I think Kuminga gets some minutes tonight. We know that the Pelicans have a lot of length and athleticism, and it'll be a perfect matchup for a guy like Kuminga to be able to, get some burn. I'm a big fan of Kuminga. Tonight, I won't be a big fan of Kuminga. Not tonight, because my money already on the Pelicans, man, -4. So that's what I got for you guys, though. I mean, it's a lot of other games. I always try to keep the show to about 25 minutes. The Bucks and the Timberwolves, 3.5-point spread. That's going to be an interesting one, especially with Rudy Gobert and Anthony Edwards being listed as questionable. I would definitely wait for that news before playing that game. And what else we got? The Raptors and the Mavs. Mavs laying 4. I think that's going to be an interesting game for sure. And I can't wait to handicap that one with you guys later as well. The Hornets and the Grizzlies. Man, it's a lot of value on the Hornets tonight because LaMelo has already been ruled out. Terry Rozier has also been ruled out. But now they're down Gordon Hayward. We know Cody Martin still isn't back yet. So PJ Washington props to the moon probably. Guys like him and Dennis Smith Jr. What else? Knicks and the 76ers. Of course, Harden is out for a month. Matisse Thybulle is listed as questionable. Embiid is questionable. DeAnthony Milton is not on the injury list with the back injury. So, definitely looking at Maxey and Milton props in that one. And the Heat and the Pacers, that's going to be a good one because Jimmy Butler's already ruled out. Oladipo and Yurt-Seven aren't back yet. So, the Pacers like to get up and down the floor. The Heat first game off, that home game, that homestand that they've been on as well. Pacers haven't played in a while. So, man, it's a lot of interesting basketball, man. The Nets and the Wizards, we know Kyrie got suspended for 5 games. The Wizards looked better in Philly the other day. That spread's moved from the Wizards actually being favored by 1 to now 2.5-point dog. So it's a lot to like, man, on the card, man. A whole lot to like, man. I'll definitely have more in these games, when I get more time a little bit later today. So tune back, tap back in with me. Tune into the NBA Crispy Captain Show, 5:15 Eastern time, as always. And then tomorrow I'll be doing the show as well, discussing the Saturday games. But definitely limit your volume. Try to zone in on a couple of these games and not every single one of them. Don't feel like you got to put a play in on on one. And then be able to identify your leans from your officials too, man. Whichever ones you feel more comfortable with, play those games versus playing every single play that you like. So that's what I got for y'all guys, man. Finesse said we appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you as well, my guy. Finesse always coming through. Positive vibes, my brother from the Chalkboard community. I posted a play last night in Chalkboard too. I added everyone in it in the actual basketball chat, but I talked about Jokic rebounds plus assists. So if you're in the Chalkboard, hopefully you cashed that play last night. I really like that play a lot. The link is actually posted in the description on this in the YouTube video. So if you want to join the Chalkboard community, whether you have an iPhone or Android, you have access to that right now as well. But another edition of Cashed It with Chris, the NBA betting show, in the books, man, presented to you guys by the Basketball Forever Podcast Network. As always, like I said, I'm gonna start closing the show with this. None of this is financial consultation. It's theory, it's statistics, it's analytics, and it's logic. Use your best judgment when placing your bets and bet with your head, not over it. Best of luck on your action today. Tap back in with me at 5:15 Eastern time for the NBA Crispy Captain Show. I'm out.